Our first story begins in a small, seemingly quiet town in Greater Manchester, a place called Ashton-In-Makerfield. Here, there's a cottage unlike any other. At first glance, it might look like a charming, old Tudor-style house, but take a closer look, and you'll see it is far from ordinary. This house, once owned by outsider artist Kevin Duffy, is filled with eerie sculptures, gravestones, unsettling statues of angels, and even a life-sized figure of a maid, standing eerily still. The cottage's exterior alone would send a chill down anyone's spine. But it gets worse. Inside the house, things get even stranger. A bizarre collection of grandfather clocks can be found ticking away in eerie synchrony, as if they're all counting down to something. There's an oppressive atmosphere about the place, a sense that something, or someone, is watching. People who have visited have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread the moment they step through the door. One potential buyer, after walking through the house, couldn't shake the feeling that the walls were alive, that they were being watched by unseen eyes. The very air inside seems charged with a sense of hostility, almost as if the house itself resents anyone daring to cross its threshold. Others claim that the house is plagued by strange noises, scratching at the walls, low murmurs, and even the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls when no one is around. And some visitors have gone so far as to say they felt an invisible presence near them, lurking just out of sight. In online discussions, many have claimed that something malevolent seems to reside within the house, almost as if the place itself is haunted by something dark. It's as if the house is not simply a building, but a living, breathing entity, waiting for its next victim. Some people believe the house itself is cursed. What's even more disturbing is that those who have shown interest in the house are often overcome with a strange sense of unease, leaving them unable to return for a second visit. One person even described their experience as feeling like they were being pulled away from the house, as if an invisible force was guiding them out. No one can explain it. But some who have dared to enter have not been the same since. If you ever find yourself in Ashton-In-Makerfield, take care. Some houses, no matter how beautiful they seem on the outside, may be hiding something sinister within. Now, we travel to the Philippines, where a truly unsettling and terrifying event is about to unfold. It's not a random incident but a terrifying cinematic experience based on true horror stories that happened right here in the country. The film KMJS Gabi in Lagim. The movie is set to bring chilling, real-life paranormal experiences to the big screen. The film is part of a long-running television series, Gabi in Lagim, which has aired for years and featured stories that are based on true encounters with the supernatural. This anthology film is not just the product of creative minds but a horrifying reflection of true events. It's a compilation of personal, terrifying stories submitted by ordinary people across the Philippines. The movie invites audiences into the darkest corners of the human experience, showing that horror doesn't just live in fictional tales, it's alive and well in real life. And what makes it even more terrifying is that the people telling these stories are not actors. They are real people who have lived through these events. The KMJS team ran a nationwide story pitching contest, asking citizens from all over the Philippines to share their most terrifying experiences. Some stories are personal encounters with the paranormal, while others are more hauntingly eerie, involving strange occurrences that seem impossible to explain. People recount moments where they felt an unnatural presence in their homes, uninvited visitors who vanish without a trace, or voices that echoed through empty rooms at night. Some of these stories have been shared with the public before, but others are so chilling, they have never been told, until now. These are stories that will make your skin crawl, because they aren't fabricated for entertainment. They are lived experiences, disturbing in their own right. For many who contributed, the events they described are fresh in their memories. Stories of voices calling out from the dark, of shadows that move when no one is near, and of inexplicable forces that seem to reach into the very souls of those who witnessed them. What makes this project so disturbing is the fact that the stories are drawn from actual experiences. The terror these individuals endured is something they've lived with, and now they're being shared with the world. The movie is scheduled to be released in 2025, and anticipation is building for what promises to be one of the scariest films of the year. It's an anthology of fear that will undoubtedly leave you questioning whether you believe in the supernatural, or whether it believes in you. Next, let's talk about a series of chilling, real-life hauntings that have been captured on film. This series is called Bad Ben, and it's not your average ghost story. It's a long-running saga, chronicling the terrifying experiences of one man, Tom Riley, who moves into a house in New Jersey. What starts as a normal story of a man purchasing a house quickly spirals into something much darker. The Bad Ben series began in 2016 and, as of 2024, has expanded to include 14 films. It's not the usual polished horror film. It's filmed on a cell phone, and it captures real, raw moments of terror. Tom Riley, who appears in the films, documents his terrifying encounters with an unseen, malevolent force in his home. This series is presented through security cameras and handheld footage, adding to the unsettling realism of the experience. It's a series that draws you in with its simplicity, and leaves you questioning everything you thought you knew about the paranormal. As the series progresses, Tom's encounters with the supernatural become increasingly disturbing. Objects move on their own, doors slam shut, and cold spots appear out of nowhere. But it's the eerie, unexplainable sounds that really set the tone. Footsteps, whispers, and strange growls echo throughout the house, leaving Tom, and the audience, wondering what kind of entity they're dealing with. In Bad Ben, Frankenstein, released in 2024, things take an even darker turn, with Tom discovering disturbing new aspects of the evil force that resides within the house. What's most disturbing, however, is not just the supernatural occurrences, but the fact that Tom Riley isn't an actor. He's a real person, and these real events have been documented and shared with the world. In fact, many fans of the series have started to believe that the house may truly be haunted, and some have even reached out to Tom with their own theories on what's happening. As Tom continues to explore the horrifying events taking place in his home, the question remains, is it real, or is it all just a terrifying work of fiction? Either way, Bad Ben continues to captivate audiences and leave them wondering if they're watching real footage of something that should never be filmed. And with new films in the works, the haunting is far from over. The next story is one that may sound familiar, but it's real. This terrifying incident happened just last month. United Airlines Flight 1382 was scheduled to fly from Houston to New York's LaGuardia Airport, but things took a terrifying turn during takeoff. Passengers aboard the flight began noticing something strange. One of the engines appeared to be on fire. The fire wasn't just a small flare-up, it was an inferno. Passengers whipped out their phones, recording the frightening scene. The engine was glowing with an eerie red light, and people feared for their lives. The plane had not even left the ground yet, but a catastrophic failure seemed imminent. The crew acted quickly, initiating emergency protocols. The flight was grounded immediately, and all 104 passengers and 5 crew members were safely evacuated onto the tarmac. Upon inspection, emergency crews found no fire, just a malfunction in the engine, but the scene that unfolded on the tarmac left everyone shaken. It was a rare and terrifying occurrence in modern aviation, and it left many questioning the safety of flying. It was a stark reminder of the risks passengers face when they board an aircraft. Sometimes, things can go horribly wrong in an instant. Fortunately, this flight ended without any loss of life, but for those who were on board, the memories of that moment will haunt them forever. They may never be able to look at flying the same way again. Finally, let's talk about a podcast that's kept listeners up at night for years. Let's Not Meet, a true horror podcast, is a series of real-life accounts from ordinary people who have had extraordinary, terrifying experiences. The podcast shares first-hand stories of unsettling encounters with strangers, spirits, and forces beyond our understanding. Each episode presents terrifying stories from people who have lived through events so disturbing, they still haunt them today. Stories range from chilling encounters with stalkers and creepy strangers, to unexplained supernatural events that can't be rationalized. Some listeners have even reported feeling uncomfortable listening to these episodes, as if they themselves were being watched or followed after hearing the stories. What makes this podcast so unsettling is that everything shared is real. The fear comes from knowing that these aren't fictional stories. They are the raw experiences of real people who have had their lives turned upside down by the unknown. The podcast has explored everything from stalking situations to near-death experiences. But it's the paranormal events that really hit home. One listener recounted an experience where they were followed by a shadowy figure that only appeared in mirrors and reflections. Others have described terrifying experiences with haunted locations, ghostly sightings, and strange, unexplainable occurrences that seem to defy all logic. It's a podcast that reminds you that sometimes, the most disturbing horrors are the ones that happen in real life. And the terror doesn't stop at the podcast, it lingers long after the episode ends. Before we conclude today's terrifying tales, I want to share something special with you. If you love disturbing stories and ghostly mysteries, you'll definitely want to check out The Mystery of the Haunted Fort. This book is a spine-chilling journey into a long-abandoned fort, where dark secrets lie waiting to be uncovered. The story will keep you on the edge of your seat as you try to piece together the mysteries that haunt this forsaken place. And the best part? It's only $10. Click the link in the description below to get your copy of The Mystery of the Haunted Fort and experience a haunting you won't soon forget. But be warned, once you open the book, you may find that some mysteries are best left unsolved. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay safe out there. You never know what could be lurking just around the corner.